Hello folks, welcome to the channel. I've got a little setup in the house here, and I've got some plants that I've currently got growing underneath this Flyzon multi-spectrum hydroponic grow light, and I've got it set to the veg setting, and it is 36 inches at the moment above the plants that I'm growing further down here. And I just want to show you what's in here today underneath this grow light. And the first thing I'd like to come on to is this tray of some Carmen sweet red onions, and these you can get from Real Seed, and these were sown on the 6th of January or there or thereabouts. But if you look back through my videos, you'll see that I did post a video earlier in the month when I sowed these Carmen sweet red onions, and this is where they're at today underneath this grow light here. So there's a nice tray of red onions coming there, and there's also another tray of Carmen sweet red onions over here, and I also have a tray of giant Stuttgarter onions, which I'll show you in my next video, which will be very soon. If I can get it out tomorrow, then I will, but I'll get it out at some point this weekend. But this is another tray of onions, and it is Carmen sweet red once again, so they are also coming along really nicely. So there's two nice trays of onion seedlings growing underneath these lights, and I've also got some chilies in here. Now these are some lemon citrus lemon drop chilies, which you can get the seeds from Real Seed, and they're a chili that I really love growing. Got a really nice subtle lemon taste to them, and they're quite hot things, you know. Not really hot like a couple of the ones that I've got underneath these little propagators here, but they are fairly hot chilies. And if you just look really closely here, you might be able to see that there's just the signs of the first true leaves starting to appear in the centre of the chilies. So if I just go a little bit closer to this one, you might be able to see that there is signs of true leaves on the way. So if I just change the angle a bit there you go, you can see in the very centre there, there's just the start of the first leaves going to come in the centre. And I did sow one seed in each of these cells, but only 4 of them have turned into little seedlings that you see right here. And there was another one which was in this tray right here, but the seed coating got trapped on the leaves when it was trying to emerge, and it didn't turn into a little seedling like you see on these ones. But 4's enough for me, combined with the other chilies I've got growing. Once they're up and established and the plants that I want them to be, then that'll give us some really nice chilies to work with and to harvest from for the year coming up. So there's 4 nice chili seedlings right there. If I just carefully put this back, folks, so there we go. And there's also another few chilies under here. So the first one I've got to come to is some cayennes, and these are soaked overnight in a weak tea solution. So I made a cup of tea, I let it cool down, then I emptied half the water out, then I filled the cup back up with some cold water, and then I put my seeds into this tea solution. And I sowed these just 8 days ago, and in 8 days they have germinated, and the tannins in the tea and soaking them overnight in a tea solution is known to stop damping off, but it also speeds up the germination rate because it breaks down the seed coat. And in 8 days I've had germination on 2 of the 3 chilies. I'm still waiting for this one over here, but these 2 in 8 days have came through. So the first one I'd like to come to is this little tray right here, and this is some cayennes. which I really like to grow and something I really like to have to dry out. And if I just bring it into the light a bit here, you can see that I've wrote Cayenne on a little label on the side, which is something I like to do when using these little trays, because it means that there's no risk of knocking the little label if it's in the substrate and disturbing the little seedlings that are growing, as you can see right there. So I put a label on the side and just wrote Cayenne on it. But there you go, there's some nice cayennes coming there in this little grow tray. And there's also another one over here. So if I just put this lid back on, and then I'll show you the next one. And the next one is under here, and this is some Scotch bonnets. So if I just carefully lift this up and bring this to the door, you can see there's me Scotch bonnet chilies coming right there, and there's a little bit of moisture on that one there, so I'm just going to quickly give this a blow and blow that moisture off. Just give this a little bit of a tap, 2 seconds folks, just knock a little bit of that moisture off. But there we go, there's some nice Scotch bonnet chilies coming right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I sowed 8 seeds into here. So far 7 have come out, and there might be signs of another one. There might be an 8th one, but I think, is that one right there? There's another one there. See, it's just poking out there. So I sowed 8 seeds and 8 have started to come, which is really nice. So there's some Scotch bonnets right there. I'm just going to put that back down, put the little lid over the top, and put this little lid back over this one, like so. And then I'll show you the last one, and there's nothing to show you here. I'm still waiting for these to poke through, but these are some jalapenos. And if I just bring this over here, you can see that it says jalapeno on there. I need to get a pen and write that name on a little bit better, but there's no sign of the jalapenos yet. But hopefully soon something will happen and I'll have something to show you. But for now, I'm just going to put these jalapenos back onto this garland heater propagator right here, put the lid back over the top, and hopefully the next time I come to show you this, there'll be some jalapenos in there. But that's where I'm at with a little bit of growing today, everyone, in my little setup here. And I've also got some leeks, and I put a picture on my community post there of some leeks showing that I've done. And I'm doing 2 different ways of doing it this year to get them started. I've got some in this little pot right here, some Musselburgh leeks, and these are going to be growing on until they're large enough to handle, and then I'm going to put them into a nursery bed situation and grow them on. But I've done this in a shorter pot, but I also wanted to try something else, so I've put some leeks into this much taller pot, exactly the same manner, just sowed a sprinkling of leek seeds into this taller pot here. And I just want to see whether doing it in a small pot and then putting them into a nursery bed is better or worse than doing it in a larger pot and giving them more time to establish and settle in something that's taller. So there's a little bit of an experiment going on there to see whether short pot and then pricking them out and moving them into a nursery bed is better or worse than putting them into something taller. Because if the taller method works out better, then in the future I'll do this. And if it turns out that the small pot and then putting it into a nursery bed is better, like I've done many times in the past, then I'll carry on doing that. But it's just going to be interesting to see which one works out best for us. So there's some leeks in there, some Musselburgh, which I just sowed today on the 30th of January, and some Musselburgh in that shorter pot there. So that's what's in there in terms of what I've showed you already. But I've also got some mint in here. Now this is some lovely Moroccan mint, and I've got a load of mint cuttings in some trays in the greenhouse that I took last autumn. But these mint plants, I took the small cuttings out of the tray, and then I've put them into this little bit of a cell block, and I've grew some cuttings on under the lights here, just so I can get a little bit of a head start with some mint plants that I love to grow. And the mint plants are looking quite nice, coming on really nice, so gives us a little bit of a head start with some mint, which is really lovely. And I've got a lot of dried mint in the house that I've put into jars for making tea with, but I like to have mint to pick as often as possible that's fresh, as well as the dried stuff. So that is something else I've got in here tonight, just some mint cuttings that are growing really nicely. So happy enough with them. And that's about it today, apart from one more thing, and there's a cutting over the back here, and I'm messing around with some cuttings that I got from a fig tree. I had to remove a fig tree for someone who I do some work for, and it was a really nice tree, and it was a shame to do it, but they wanted it taken out, and if I hadn't have done it, then they would have paid someone else to do it. So that was what they asked us to do, so I removed the fig tree. They bought the property and moved in, and they just didn't want it, you know. They wanted to do what they wanted to do with the garden, so I brought some fig cuttings home, and I've just been messing around with them. So there's one right here, and you can see that there's some nice foliage coming on it, and that's the cutting that I took there, and you can see where I've cut it there, but there's a little bit of a fig plant there, which is really nice. But I've got another one which is underneath this little jar here, just to keep the humidity up, and there's another little fig coming right here, and I'm not going to lift it out and show you, but I have had a look, and further down there is some roots, so the little fig is actually starting to grow. In fact, I don't really want to do this, but I am going to do it just to show you. So I'm just going to loosen this up a little bit, because there is some roots on it. So just lift this up nice and gentle like, and there's its roots. Where were they? They were there before. Just having a little bit of a look, and then once I've found them, I'll be able to show you.